welcome to many others in the next, it's exactly 8:30. Good morning, BSN. In line with our usual programs, week on week, we do run the Good Morning BSN program, where we have discussions around various subject area that has to do with leadership. And it is well known that we have also created a global brand in Good Morning BSN, as a large chunk of people all over the world are tuned to this program every Tuesday. We would like to welcome you to today's episode, where we are having extensive discussion on another aspect of global, on another aspect of great leadership. We would like to thank the core people who are here today to speak and to reflect and to ask questions. We will be discussing in particular the concept of team leadership or responsible leadership. And the Good Morning BSN provide a very great opportunity for each and every one of us to be able to have practical tools to improve our abilities across the 4 pillars of leadership, which we BSN believe are very crucial to making a difference in the organization and in our world. So we do have discussions around responsible leadership, on how to become a better person, be responsible towards our colleagues. We do have discussions around change leadership, around decision-making leadership, and around performance leadership. Today, specifically, we have had people prepared, ready for today's program, and I will quickly speak about them. We have today, we'll be talking around performance leadership, and we have a director of sub-region at Plan International who will be speaking to us as the core speaker. He'll be talking on creating a trust-based team culture. He has about 24 years of leadership and management experience, often on a fragile country context and international NGOs and para-state institutions. He has successfully managed at different levels up to country director position in different regions and international organizations, with proven ability in preparation and leading emergency response and rehabilitation, operations and disaster risk reduction programming. A certified coach, a specialist in team building and team development with great accreditation, recognized expertise in applied child-centered community development, hand-on experience in gender and diversity mainstream conducting gender assessment. He has demonstrated skills in great mobilization, and he has been able to work, raising and managing grants from major donors like ECHO, CEDAR, DFID, EU, World Bank, USAID, etc. He has applied a number of skills in appreciative inquiry and has shown proven ability in advocacy, communication, research in various areas, including conservation and environmental sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we welcome Mr. Bell-Aube Houinato. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you.
All right. Before you speak, let me call on a mentor, Mrs. Olaide Isijola, a great C-suite strategy leader and cloud solution with a global organization. This is an executive, senior account executive with Microsoft, an accomplished account executive, an expert in customer relationship management and tailored tech solutions, one who has played very key role as a team player and an inspirational leader, committed to driving business growth and delivering exceptional outcomes. She's a graduate of the prestigious Business School, Netherlands. And indeed, I present to you Anne Olaide Isijola, who is going to be reflecting today. My own name is Larry Bale. I work for Business School, Netherlands as a professor. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Houinato, to please start your presentation for the next 15 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me to this session. I have to say, it must be my first attendance. And so I stand to be educated. Please do not hesitate if I go out of the way. Don't hesitate at all. I would like to make it a little conversational. And maybe I should start by telling a little story about myself by way of introduction also. So this is something that happened to me many years back when I was posted in one of the, let me say, war-torn countries in our region. Don't need to mention which one. But there was a time where I was living in a house that had security guard assigned there. And I was just by myself. It wasn't a family posting. So those years, I would usually spend most of my time with these guys. The moment I come back from the office, I go down there, drop my stuff, change, and do whatever I need to do in a house. And then I come down, I sit with them, sometimes at the front gate, and then we will be chatting, joking, all kinds of things. We'll be eating together, socializing, bonding, all those things. So in those years, if some of you remember, there was a time where bandits and rebels would often invade the city, do a lot of killing, looting, raping, and then before they could be contained and then sent back, pushed back by either the UN or the regular armed forces. So on that particular occasion, there was the night where the rebels were to come to the city the next day. So this particular security guard that I am particularly connected with, he was not on duty on that day. He made it, risking his own life, came all the way together with some of the friends, and they took me from the house. They took me through a passage that I knew nothing about. I never knew that passage existed. Very weird journey. They took me to a place. We were there for 2-3 days before we came back. And then when we came back, you cannot imagine the amount of destruction that I saw there. The very house where we're living was almost literally destroyed. In the neighborhood, you can imagine what happened there. I never forgot that day until now. And that incident taught me so many leadership lessons and qualities. And I would like to share some of them with you today, with a lot of humility. So I'm not a definition person. I'm not a definition person. And I don't want to start defining, talking about leadership and trust. I just assume. I don't like assumption also, but I'm just taking it that everyone here, we know quite some of what we are talking about when we're talking about leadership, and that's the reason why we are here. And some of you have also attended great schools and been educated on such things. But in my personal experience, I just consider when we're talking about trust, we're talking about a certain amount of confidence that's either you have in yourself and the people around you and inside your organization or in the society at large that actually helps to unlock your leadership potential and enable you to be successful in whatever it is that you would like to achieve. The very possibility of achieving whatever it is that you would like to do, how fast you do it, how efficiently you do it, and so on. So that's what I have been working on when I'm talking about trust. And that's how I connect. It's the trust piece with the leadership piece. It's a key, it's an enabler. So I shared, let me share with you quickly a framework that I have developed. I would like to push the screen now. So this one, let me share with you the framework because okay, this one. So there are 4 things there. I tried as much as possible to condense and so that you can easily capture. In my practice, in my work, these are the 4 things that I have consistently paid attention to. I do not want to delve too much into each one of them. Let me just say that I'll try and maybe for one of them, I'll give you the details of some of the key traits. What I see makes a difference in your attitude, in your behavior, in your actions. For maybe another one, I'll rather tell a short story that will say it all. So we don't have to actually go into the details, but I can share a more extensive details with all of you, just for the record. So if I am taking, let me just pick one of them. The one that I can give the details, let me say humility, for example. Some of the differentiating factors that I take there when I'm speaking about humility. For example, making myself available to being challenged, to being scrutinized by my colleagues on decisions and positions that I hold pretty much about everything. Do I do that? Do we do that? Admitting when I make mistakes, irrespective of my position. I could be the director. Directors too make mistakes. Directors make mistakes. I proactively speak of my mistakes and I use resources in the team to grow and manage the risk that are inherent because I am putting the organization at risk because of my weaknesses, my personal challenges. Do I know them? Do I talk to my team about them? Do I solicit their support and use the qualities and capabilities within the team to address the consequences and the potential consequences of these weaknesses that I have? If I'm not even aware of those, how would I proactively engage with the team on that? I do not use my position or a position of authority to shut down colleagues or to discard an opportunity for them to contribute using my position of leadership or authority. I could also create meaningful spaces for others, especially being intentional about some of the most vulnerable, people who will not ordinarily, take the stage. how intentional am I about bringing them in the forefront and exposing them and providing them with opportunity to shine? So these are some of the things that I put when I'm talking about, humility. And there could be more, and I'm sure you have more to share about it. Then, of course, I put something about, presence and, visibility. So that's where you have the energy. Leadership is about energy. I will be saying something about, being authentic as well. And there's a connection between the two. Its pillars are not isolated and so on, but I'm not delving into that particular one. And then I talked about organizational alignment, both from the perspective of what the organization intends to do. Do you understand the strategy of your organization? Do you represent your organization well? Do people see you as a reflection of what the organization stands to achieve? But also from the perspective of organizational values. How do you connect your own personal values and with the values of the organization? And what is, how visibly are you playing that word or connecting these different realities that might be different? For some of us who are working in international organizations, it's clear, and I can come back to that in a minute. So some of the value systems are quite different from where we came from and the education that we've seen. So when I'm talking about organizational alignment, these are some of the things that I'm speaking about. And the fourth one about authenticity, I can just share a quick story about this that will say it all. There was a time when I had to bring one of our boards from one of the donor countries to visit a project. And this project was about female genital cutting. And some of you know what I'm talking about. Very ugly thing that happened in some of our societies. And, it's a very sensitive topic in most of our communities. So we went all the way, traveled hundreds of kilometers to go to the communities. And by that time, we had already hired a project leader, somebody to actually manage that project. We hired him new because we had just acquired that grant. And as we were there, everybody was there. There's huge crowds in the community. The board members, our staff, and everybody. And this project manager was now leading the conversation. He's animating the whole thing. Little did he know, he was speaking in a local language. Do you know one of the things he said to the people? He told them, these white people have brought the money. You have to show enthusiasm. Don't care if you don't believe in doing away with female genital cutting. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. But be enthusiastic, because this is the fresh new money that has come and we have to take it. He didn't believe in anything that he was there to do. They're just faking the whole thing. So these are some of the examples that we have about being authentic and bringing in yourself wherever you might be coming from and who you are, really truly believing in what it is that your organization is there to deliver. So there is a lot that could be said about each and every pillar that we have there, but let me just land by sharing some reflection. And so that's what I call, take home and take charge. So that's my way of saying. When I say take home and take charge, I believe when take charge is leading. You don't always lead by being at the forefront. You can lead by being on the side, by doing and delivering things with people. and providing them with opportunity to actually take the stage. Let me go back to the story that I said at the beginning about that security guard. If I had died on that day, he would not have been found at fault. He wasn't even on duty. But the relationship that we built was such that he went out of the way. My life became very important to him, not as part of his duty, not because it is part of his responsibility. He wouldn't have been found at fault. So it means that we have to reflect on our relationship with our colleagues, irrespective of the position in the organization, wherever we might be working, and how we can empower them, how we can amplify the possibility for us to achieve, to deliver anything. There is a challenge that I would like to put to you. And so, sorry, moderator, I usually come up with a lot of challenges when I'm speaking to my colleagues. When I prepared this session, I personally reflected on three things that are emerging challenges for us. One of them is the emerging degradation, and from the perspective of conflicts across Africa, socio-political upheavals, all of this is making our operating context so much more difficult and tense. And then as leaders, we have to reflect on what it means to lead in such circumstances. And so my question to you is that with the emerging socio-political context and conflict context in Africa, and the effects that these have on the people that we are working with, what are the type of leadership that you believe will be the most relevant in such a context, the most effective? So that's the question I would like to put to you. And I would like to really thank you for listening. And I stand to hear from you and learn from you, from your own perspective and your own experiences when it comes to value-based leadership.
Thank you so much, Mr. Houinato, for a beautiful presentation. We have prepared for today a reflector, like I've mentioned. Today's presentation is creating a trust-based team culture with a focus on responsible leadership. Responsible leadership. Mr. Houinato had actually covered various aspects of how responsible leadership is key, how trust matters in leadership. He has touched base, but the person who is going to reflect on the topic today, who has been fully prepared to be the reflector for today, I've introduced earlier, is Olaide Isijola, a Microsoft specialist and a specialist in CRM, who works for such a big global organization, and who will be speaking to us for just 5 minutes. Over to you, Olaide.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Sorry,
thank you.
Sorry, while Olaide is speaking, please kindly put your questions in the Q&A section, and we will read them out to the reflector and the speaker, and they'll provide answers to us eventually. Thank you. Over to you, Olaide.
Thank you, Professor, and thank you. Please confirm you can hear me loud and clear.
We can hear you very well.
Oh, fantastic. And thank you, Mr. Bell, for that wonderful, awesome presentation. I took a lot of notes. Just to put together the things that I just listed, some 10 key factors that I think we need to reflect on in order to, be a performance, to be able to have a performance leadership in our own organization or whatever we find ourselves doing in everyday life, even in the life of our kids and in the life of our spouse. Our everyday life, everybody needs to be a leader in one way or the other. So number one, open communication. Open communication is very key, and communication is two-way. I might be saying something and you might be misinterpreting it in another way. So what my boss usually tells me is that each time he's telling me to do something, he will ask me to interpret what he just said, so that he will know that communication has actually taken place. And that has really helped me a lot. As leaders, we need to have an open communication. We need to have good communication skills. Speaking to somebody doesn't mean that you've communicated. The person might be interpreting it in another way because so many factors are put together in how the person interprets what you've said. Then share values and goals. We need to find a common ground as leaders to be able to share good values and goals with people that we are leading, even our colleagues. You know, I was going through something this morning, and it talked about how we can also learn from our colleagues, not just our leaders alone. How we can, you know, stoop so low to learn from people that are even lower than us. So we need to understand where the shared values and goals, where it cross line, and how we can come together, you know, to form a formidable team and also be a good leader from our own perspective. Then I also listed empowerment and autonomy. People need to be empowered. Leaders raise leaders. So we need to raise a lot of leaders. We need to give people autonomy. We need to give people tasks. We need to get people to be responsible for those taxes. We also need to empower people, push people out, give people opportunity to begin to shine in many organizations. Many leaders feel threatened when they feel that, oh, this person is coming to take my power. Or once I give you little power, you begin to overshoot your boundaries. Gone are those days. Leaders train leaders, and we need to continue to train leaders in any capacity that we find ourselves. Then accountability. We also need to be accountable for our actions, for our ways, for the things that we do as leaders. We are all leaders in our own capacity, one way or the other. So we need to be really accountable. You don't need to say, somebody make me do that. No, you need to be accountable for your actions, for your deeds, for the things that you do. You need to take accountability serious as leaders. Then recognition and appreciation. When people do things that are extraordinary, don't let us take the accolades away from them. Recognize it. No matter how small those things are, you know, it fuels creativity and it helps people to want to put the best more. You know, I hear Mr. Bell spoke about, you know, understanding the organizational goals and values and you wanting to connect with that. If you recognize people with the little things that they do, it helps them to imbibe the organizational goals and values into them. They see themselves as integral part of the organization. So we need to take recognition and appreciation very seriously in our leadership role. Then conflict resolution, you know, Mr. Bell left off with a question to say that what kind of leadership fits with all the issues that we are that is happening in our social, political, in our organization, FX. What kind of leadership fits organizations in this present time? That is a question that we need to ponder on and ask ourselves and see how we can create that change from where we stand in various organizations and homes. Then team building activity. We need to be genuine in team building. So I've seen many people that they say they want to do team building and they have like hundreds of people in the organization. When it is time to do team building, you only see 2 or 3 people coming for team building because they never see themselves as part of the team in the first place. So there's a lot of things we need to do in order to get people to be well equipped in the organization. Then we must lead by example. As leaders, we need to walk our talk. We need to make sure that we are doing what is right at all times. I'm sure one of the initiatives the guy did to come back for Mr. Bell was because they've seen him lead so many times by example. So they feel burdened that this person, I'm responsible for this person, even if that person was not that person was not supposed to be in the office at that particular day. They feel burdened that this is a leader that I reckon with and I need to come to their rescue. So very important. Then diversity and inclusion is also very important. Then lastly, continuous improvement. Leadership is a journey. We cannot get there a day. You know, Mr. Bell talks about accepting our mistakes and finding ways. You need to own it and you need to be accountable. So continuous improvement, we need to keep at it. We need to make sure that we are being objective in ourselves to say that, okay, as leaders, I've made a mistake. Okay, how do I recollect my mistakes? And you need to own up to your team that yes, I'm not perfect. Yes, maybe I miss steps. Apologize if need be and call out your mistakes and ask for areas where you can improve. It doesn't make you a weak leader. It just shows you're just telling others that it is okay to be vulnerable and it is okay not to stay vulnerable, but it is okay to also want to improve on your vulnerability as well. Yes, I think I'll just stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lady. I would like to go to Mr. Nato straight ahead with the Q&A coming in. Oluchi has asked the speaker to please elaborate briefly on leadership being about energy. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Nato.
Yeah, absolutely. As you will remember, on the framework that I put there, there was a particular one that was about presence and visibility and the energy. And some of the traits that I have there, I did not elaborate on. But one of the key points there, and I like what Olaide was saying earlier, is creating a space where the colleagues can feel free to be truthful and meaningfully engaged without fear of retaliation, because that's also the thing. If you're depending on how you engage with people, some are going to be, you can have toxic, positivity that, people are always positive around you, but it doesn't go deep. Engaging with the team and indeed everyone with positive energy and enthusiasm, and seeing the glass more like half full than half empty, that kind of attitude. So that positivity, in my experience, brings in energy and fuels the team to always deploy that kind of can-do kind of attitude, that can-do attitude. And you have, as a leader, you have to be intentional about how you drive your team. You don't want to bog down the team with the biggest challenge at the beginning. You want to be intentional when you start up with the team to also start up with small things that you're confident that the team will be able to deliver on. And then as they do that, it builds confidence and prepares the team for greater challenges. So if the first challenge that they face is the big one, it will destroy the team because they will fail. They might fail, and that creates a problem in the team in the long run. So you have to be intentional, about the journey as well. Where you're starting and then where you're going with the team, and along the way, all the milestones and bottlenecks and how you are able to take that to your advantage. To build positive team energy and the sense of success and delivery within the team. Now, make sure that I am consistent in my action and aligning my action with my words. There are so many things that can be said there, but that energy, leadership, in my experience, is about energy, and that energy has to be visible to the team.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nato. Lady, you spoke about responsible and value-based leadership during your reflection. How do we make sure that our authentic self is great in such a way that it rubs off possibly on the people we are leading without us saying much?
Okay, so it still goes back to energy, and Mr. Bell has spoken so well about energy. So there is negative energy and there is positive energy, right? And this energy, you can't see it, but you can feel it. You don't want to be that kind of leader that people come to. I had a boss that is always finding reason why that thing is not going to work. Even if there is iota of doubt that is not going to work, you don't want to be the leader to sow the seed of doubt in your people. You see, you need to keep that positive energy to make sure that people feel like a superstar, even when they are not there yet. Yes. It comes a story of an eagle that has eaglets. If an eagle wants to make a child, the eaglet to fly, it takes it to the top of the mountain. and it drops the child. And, you know, when the child is about to fall, you know, the eagle goes back to pick the child. And it does that over and over and over until the eagle becomes a superstar. So you need to have that energy that can be felt in the room. I want to come to you as my leader, tell you my challenge, and I want to leave that room feeling empowered, feeling like I have wings. You've given me wings to fly, and I can go there and conquer the world. So that energy is extremely important, and it is either positive or negative. It cannot be seen, but it can be expressed and it can be explained. So you rather want to be a leader that people come to solve issues, or if the people don't find that in you, they find it in their colleagues and they go to their colleagues to be led. So energy, positive one, is extremely important.
That's good. Will Mr. Bell-Aube Houinato make some comments on that, and we will round up after your 1 minute comments. Yeah.
I mean, she said it all. I mean, I have so many different experiences where I remember the very first time I was so young then. I've never been to the States, and so my director then registered me for a course in the state, and then he put everything, give it to me. They say, you go there, you rent a car, you go to the university, you deliver your course. All the things that he was saying, it was like, okay, are you talking about me? Are you talking about someone else? But he was talking to me as if it was so natural that I would do such things. And so that get me on the road of doing those things already as we were speaking. I mean, I'm talking to you about something that happened more than 20 years ago, but I still have it fresh in my mind as if it was yesterday. That's how impactful it was, believing in the people in front of you that they could do it and they will do it. So that's just the way I see it. Thanks so much, Olaide, for sharing that.
So, thank you so much. We will want you, Mr. Houinato and Olaide, to please stay behind. Okay. As when we close. Let us thank everybody. I would like to thank in particular Mohamed Yassir, who also made contribution about the fact that having a significant experience in Africa, especially with youth entrepreneurship, he actually thinks that we need to take into consideration the issue of position, posture, and motivation of our followers, regardless to their professional and ethical maturity, so as to give sense to ethical leadership. And he believes very much. He's recommending John as their leadership model, which is task, individual, and team, to take note of task, individual, and team, their competencies, their commitment, to provide a good balance which can be emphasized with the presented model to make sure we empower each of the people who work with us by balancing team collaboration and making sure followers are also delivering and they are driving change at their own level based on the energy that Mr. Houinato had mentioned and Olaide has also emphasized. We would like to thank all the attendees. Today's attendance is huge. We'd like to thank you. The speaker and reflector for today must be crowd pullers, and full as well because of the beauty of the quality of presentation today. We would like to mention that we have another presentation in a week's time that is focused purely on October 22 on the role of decision making in defining the culture in your organization. And it will be made by Uchechi Ago, the founder of Culture Keepers Consulting. And the reflection will be by Mrs. Bomoha Sagi, the HR director of the Kairos Group. We look forward to people, please, coming on time and just having this less than an hour session together from 8:30 to about 9:08 a.m. Nigerian time, and about 9:30 to 10:08 Amsterdam time, about the same time in South Africa. We'd like to thank all of you for turning up. See you next week.